Act 5, Scene 1, the final scene, the conclusion of the Tempest. Before we proceed line wise, let's see what happens in the scene primarily. Actually, Ariel tells Prospero that the day has reached its sixth hour. When the sixth hour actually implies when Ariel is allowed to stop working. Prospero also acknowledges Ariel's request and asks how the king and his followers are doing. Ariel tells him that they are currently imprisoned, as Prospero had ordered, in a grove. Grove is that lime grove. Lime grove is lime bushes, and Prospero's cell was surrounded by, fenced by these bushes. Alonso, Antonio, and Sebastian are mad because of the spell and the illusionary torture that they had gone through because of the illusions that Prospero had created, and Gonzalo is constantly crying. Prospero tells Ariel to go release the men, and giving such instructions, he is left alone on stage and he delivers the famous soliloquy. Soliloquy, he's standing alone and giving the dialogue, stating his state of mind, telling the condition of his mind, where he speaks about giving up magic. He says he will perform his last task and then break his stuff, that is his books and his magical stick, and drown the magic book, and this is how the beginning of the end starts. Let's continue. Act 5, Scene 1, before Prospero's cell. Enter Prospero in his magical robes and Ariel. Prospero tells Ariel, now does my project gather to a head, my charms crack not, my spirits obey, and time goes upright with his carriage. How's the day? What does that mean? Now that my plan is coming to its conclusion, gather to a head, that is coming to a conclusion, my charms crack not, my spells are not breaking, means magical spells are not breaking, my spirits obey, my fellow spirits, the spirits who are under command are obeying everything, and everything is running smooth, and time goes upright, that's everything is running smooth. How's the day? Means how's the day means what time is it? Ariel answers, on the sixth hour, at which time, my lord, you said our work should cease. Cease means stop. It's nearly 6 o'clock or 6, my lord, and this is the time when you said our work would be done. Okay. Prospero, I did say so when first I raised the tempest. Say, my spirit, how fares the king and his followers? He says, I did say that when I first created the storm at the sea. If you remember at the very beginning, he had said, I have few more tasks. When Ariel demands freedom, I guess Act 1, towards the beginning, Act 1 said to, he says, when he demands freedom, Prospero was annoyed to hear it, and he says, I would give you freedom when I want to give you. There are few more tasks to complete, and then you will get your freedom, right? So that's where he says, I had told you when I created the storm. Now tell me, spirit, how are the king and his followers? Ariel replies, confined together in the same fashion as you gave in charge, just as you left them, all prisoners, sir. All prisoners, sir, in the lime, it should be lime grove, it's lime grove actually, which feather fence your cell. They cannot budge till you release. Okay, what does it mean? They are all locked up together, confined together, locked up together, exactly as you commanded. Okay, and just as you left them. Sir, they are prisoners in the grove of lime. They are all prisoners, the lime grove, which fences your cell, which weather fiends your cell, is fences your cell, lime grove, lime bushes, which fences your cell. They can't, they cannot budge till you release. They are under magic spell. They cannot budge means move till you release them from your magic spell. The king, his brother, and yours. Okay, okay, they can't budge until you release them. The king, his brother, and yours abide. The king, your brothers are abide all three distracted. What does that mean? The king, his brother, and your brother are waiting, and they are all out of their wits, means out of their mind. Okay, they three distracted, underline, out of their mind. Okay, And then continue, everyone and the reminder mourning over them. Another reminder, the rest of them are worried about them, and they're completely and brimful of sorrow and dismay. Underline brimful of sorrow and dismay, complete shock, and they're sad. But chiefly him that you termed, sir, the good old Lord Gonzalo, and chiefly means mainly the one who termed as good old Lord Gonzalo, his tears run down his beard like winter crops from eaves and reed. And the one you called old Lord Gonzalo is most upset. Tears run down his beard like melting snow from a thatched roof. Underline winter's drop from eaves to of reeds, melting snow from a thatched roof. Your magic, your charm so strongly works them that if you now beheld them, your affections would become tender. Beheld them, you saw them. Your affections would become tender. Underline, you will feel bad about them. What does it mean? Your magic has affected them so deeply that if you saw them now, you will feel bad for them. A question here, what does Ariel tell about the condition of the people under Prospero's magical spell? Okay, there are lots of keywords in this dialogue, so you can continue to mark them, please. Let's continue. Prospero, does thou think so, spirit? Do you think so? Ariel, mine would, sir. It means if I were a human, I would definitely feel for them, and I would definitely have those tears in my eyes. Prospero replies, and mine shall. I would feel for them. I would feel the same feeling of compassion and pity as you are. Hast thou which art but air, a touch, a feeling of their afflictions, and shall not myself on their kind that relish all as sharply passion as they be kindlier moved than thy art? What does these lines mean? He says, I'll feel the same compassion for them. Made of air, you are made of air, okay, can feel slightly sorry for them, then I, a human like them who has experienced all the feelings they have, will be even more affected than you. So, which art by air, say you are made of air, and you can feel that touch of pity and confliction of their affliction, and shall not myself. He says, I have gone through all those feelings that they have gone through, since they are human and I am human as well. One of their kind means human like them, that relish as sharply passion as they. That means have gone through the same feelings as they. Be kindlier moved than thou art, means I would be moved with compassion more than you. Okay, continue. Though with their high wrongs I am struck to thy quick, yet with my nobler reason against my fury do I take part. Means though I am furious about the wrongs they have done to me, I will let myself be guided by reason rather than my anger. High wrongs, they have done wrong to me, I am struck to thy quick. They have done to me, I let myself be guided. Underline, struck to thy quick, will be guided with nobler reason. Nobler reason is more kindly reason, okay, against my fury, and let not anger dominate me. Right, continue. The rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance. They being penitent, the sole drift of my purpose doth extend not a frown further. It's nobler to act honorably than seek vengeance. Vengeance is revenge. It's more honorable, it's more nobler to show goodness than actually take revenge. It is the actual theme of the drama, you know. The rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance. It's a very important theme of the whole drama, where Prospero realizes that forgiveness is better than taking revenge. Okay. They being penitent, the sole drift of my purpose doth extend not a frown further. He says, since they are sorry for what they have done, penitent for they feel sorry what they have done, there's nothing else that I want. I don't want anything else. Not a frown further means I'm no longer angry. Right? I'm no longer angry. Continue. Go release them, Ariel. My charms I'll break, their senses I'll restore, and they shall be themselves. Go release them. Charms I'll break, I'll cut off my spells. Return them to their normal senses. Senses I'll restore, normal senses. And they shall be themselves. And they'll be back to themselves. Okay. Write a question here. What does Prospero finally realize, and what instruction does he give Ariel regarding his fellow conspirator, regarding the conspirators? Okay, but let's continue. Ariel, I'll fetch them, sir. I'll get them. That means, and he goes, and Prospero is left all alone. He is left all alone, and with the realization that's going on in his head, he gives the famous soliloquy, which also sums up the drama, the state of mind of Prospero, and it sums up what he is going to do. And finally, we can see the drama heading towards the appropriate end. Prospero talks, tracing a circle on the ground. He makes a circle on the ground and says, elves of hills, brooks, standing lakes and groves, and ye that on the sand with printless foot do chase the ebbing Neptune and do fly him when he comes back. Okay. He's drawing a circle on the stage with a staff, and he says, all you elves of hills, spirits, streams, lakes and forest, and you elves who leave no footprints on sand. They do not leave footprints on the sand because they are spirits, chasing the ocean waves as they draw down the beach and running from those same waves when they come back. He is addressing all the spirits and the elves who have been listening to his commands. And then he goes on, you demi puppets that my moonshine do the green sour ringlets make, whereof the yew not bites, and you whose pastime is to make midnight mushrooms. He extends his address and says, you puppet-sized creatures that by the light of the moon make fairy rings in the grass, which a sheep will refuse to eat, and you who will to make mushrooms at midnight. He is addressing these elves as well. And then he continues, that rejoice to hear the solemn curfew, by whose aid weak masters thou be. I have bedimmed the noontide sun, called forth the mutinous wind. He continues and says, and who celebrate when you hear the bells signaling the arrival of night, with your help, though none of you are powerful, I have darkened the noon sun, summoned the rebellious winds, and twixt the green sea and azured vault, set so roaring ward to the dread rattling thunder have I given fire, and rifted Jove's stout oak with its own bolt. He continues and says, and made the green sea with your help, with all the spirit's help that he has been addressing. He says, with your help, I made the green sea and the blue sky war against each other. I have shot off the dreadful rumbling thunderbolt, and burned up Jupiter's strong oak with his own lightning. He portrays the vanity of his magical art. He portrays how powerful his spirits have been, and how obedient they had been to Prospero's command. And he also shows that how powerful his magical spells were, that he could do so many things. Continue, please. The strong based promontory have I made a shake, and by the spurs up, the spine and cedar graves at my command have waked the sleepers opt and let them forth, but my potent art. What does these lines mean? Is I have made the sturdy cliffs shake and pulled up pine and cedar trees by the roots. With my strong magic I have woken the dead and opened their graves to let them out. But now I reject this wild. Let's continue when he says, I reject this wild magic. I here abjure. I reject this wild magic. And when I have required some heavenly music, which even now I do, to work mine end upon their senses, that this airy charm is for. He says, and after I have conjured some heavenly music, as I'm doing now, to achieve my goal of affecting the senses of those at whom I aim my spell, I'll break my staff. What is staff? The magic wand. Okay, let's continue. Bury its certain fathoms in the earth, and deeper than did ever plumage sound, I'll drown my book. What does that mean? Then after doing that, I'll break my staff, and after doing that, I'll bury it deep underground and throw my book of magic into the sea so that it sinks further than any anchor has ever reached. The last few lines says what he would be doing with his magic wand and with his magic books. It shows his generosity of giving up his art, which he was so proud of. Okay, just go through the whole prosperous soliloquy, and let's go through a few meanings here and there. See, printless foot, line 40, which means without footprints. Then we have demi puppets, that's line 42, I guess. Demi puppet would be puppet sized creature. Then please carry on. By moonshine to the green sour ringlets make, please, that would mean moonlit, the moonlight which creates green sour ringlets. Okay, and then you carry on with, we know what is UE is sheep. Solemn curfew, that is line 46, that means bell signaling the arrival of night. Solemn curfew, bell signaling the arrival. Aid is help. Then you go to that line where I have bedimmed, that is line 47. I have bedimmed the noontide sun, called forth the mutinous winds. The whole line means Prospero is portraying his art form, and he says that he has darkened the noon sun and summoned the rebellious winds. Okay, then please continue. Azured fault, that is 49, that means sky, the blue color azure. Then is rifted would be rifted, line 51, which burned up. Then you go to strong based promontory. Okay, that would sturdy cliffs shake. Have I made shake? Sturdy cliffs shake. Then you go to that line, that is line graves, spine. The graves at my command, 54. Graves at my command have waked their sleepers, opt and led them forth by my so potent art. That means his art was so powerful that he could wake the dead, open the graves and let them out. That is what it means. Okay, let's continue with magic wand. We know the whole magic wand is a staff, and then plumage sound is anchor could reach. Right, that's it. Let's, to summarize the scene, what we find is that Prospero has reached the 6th star, that is a final hour where Ariel is supposed to be given his freedom, and then he calls for all the people who are strangled in the island, right from Alonso and his group, and Ariel is instructed to do so. Ariel goes to bring them back to Prospero's cell, and Prospero is left alone to give the soliloquy, the most powerful soliloquy of the whole play, where we find him giving up his art form that he used to feel proud about. Can we talk something about Prospero's character in these lines? It indicates the extent of Prospero's forgiveness and provides an example of humanity towards one's enemies. The way Prospero started with wrath and anger, the tempest rising in Act 1, Scene 1, and the Prospero now who speaks about forgiving his enemies. The rarer action is in virtue than in vengeance, which is also the theme of the play, shows the transformation in Prospero's character. Then, going to the second point, his generosity in renouncing his art, the art form who is proud about, he gave it up. He gave it up. And the third point, Prospero provides in reuniting everyone by summoning Ariel to bring all the characters near his cell. We can make out that Shakespeare is towards the end of the drama where all the characters would be there present on the stage, and Prospero would take the upper hand to forgive them.